does China.
It was like 2.2
So,
million.
shh, guys, let's get started. What's the trig
India is
word?
the third largest.
What?
What's
Are we
the
on it?
what's the trig word?
I think
The
it's
Trig
China.
is Sokotoa.
Wait, I think Russia actually might be third.
Probably should write this over
We
to
need
get
to
there,
do
but
some scientific research.
okay. So stands for sine of the angle. Equals opposite over hypotenuse. Cos stands for
Adjacent over hypotenuse.
What's up, cousin?
What's up, kid?
and then Toa.
Tangent, opposite over adjacent.
Ooh, but what is cotangent?
What?
Alright, yeah, that's what we're doing today.
Are
So
you serious?
we're doing, yeah, not just cotangent. We're doing all the inverse functions. So tangent, we'll start with the easy one. The inverse function of tangent is called cotangent.
I'm okay.
Guess what it's going to be equal to?
Adjacent over opposite.
Right. So inverse functions are just flipped upside down, basically. So if tangent is opposite over adjacent, cotangent is adjacent over opposite.
Isn't that a button in the calculator?
Wait, what was that?
I don't think this will be on the calculator.
It must.
There is kind of a cheating way you can do it, though.
You can
Another way, here, I'll write it down right now. Tangent, though, you could say is equal to 1 over cotangent.
Wait, what was Wait, so cotangent, is that tan -1?
No.
Oh.
That's...
Well, why wouldn't you just do tan if you had opposite and adjacent?
well, sometimes some things use cotangent and stuff. You don't have to have this to do, like, the triangle stuff, but...
Wait, how do you get cotangent again? I don't understand.
So these are the functions we're used to, right? Today we're talking about the inverse functions. So the inverse of tangent is, or maybe better to say reciprocal functions.
Inverse
please
makes
say
me think
Because
of-
we say, yeah, don't, this would be,
Wait, that's not equal.
I'm trying to remember how we say that. Is it sine inverse?
Yeah.
Is that how we said that? Yeah, probably the reciprocal functions would be better. They don't call it anything. Okay, anyway, it's upside down. So, this is true, but this is also true. Tangent equals, basically this is the reciprocal of cotangent. Or you could say it backwards. Cotangent equals the reciprocal of tangent. Yeah, so you could kind of still use your calculator. Even though your calculator probably doesn't have a cotangent button, you could kind of still do the calculator thing.
What's up, number 1?
Oh, I see.
What's the number 1?
So basically, there's no like cotangent button on your calculator. So instead of cotangent, you just put 1 over like.
The one below it.
Oh, that's not negative. I just, I don't know, touch the board right there.
Do you get it, my G?
This is also true. This is this is gonna be like today's stuff, but
Notice how whatever Nevada is not.
you know how like 8 is like the reciprocal of 8 is 1 over 8, and that works with this too. Okay,
Is your money?
so this part's a little trickier. There's reciprocal function called secant and one called cosecant. You might think cosecant would go with cosine, but it doesn't. They're switched around. So cosecant actually goes with sine. So it's hypotenuse over opposite. And,
So that's cosecant.
and secant goes with cosine.
Oh.
So it's hypotenuse over adjacent.
I always get this switch.
Yeah. I don't
So
know
for the
really
weird
sure.
ones, you just do 1 over. the
Because
regular
this has
one.
a co, you just
Yeah.
have to remember it's backwards. It doesn't go with the cosine, it goes with sine. I don't know. Just something to remember, I guess. Oops.
Whoa.
What?
That's not what I want to do.
What the frick?
So all that stuff.
What? How great.
Yeah, should we take notes on that?
Yeah, that's probably in your books somewhere.
Did you start the recording?
Yeah.
Whoever's
Well,
watching
maybe it's
this,
not,
you're a
actually.
nerd.
I disagree with that statement.
Bethany, you're a nerd.
Bethany.
Cringe.
Okay. So, do you guys remember what quadrant sine is positive in?
The top two.
The top two,
Because it's on the Y.
because it's based on the y. Remember what quadrant cosine is positive in?
The right two.
Right two. Because it's based on the x value. You're not done.
No, it's okay.
You're blocking that one bit.
Tangent,
Alright.
because it's opposite over adjacent. Tangent is based on the x and the y value. So if both x and y are positive, like the first quadrant, they're both positive, then tangent's going to be positive. If they're both negative, and like the third quadrant, negative divided by negative is a positive, so tangent's going to be positive here too. So, but if only one of them is negative, it's negative. So the tangent, maybe I'll just put this,
What was the
I'm
weird?
going to put this over here. Huh?
What was the? Can you like scroll a little bit to the sign of
Yeah.
the house? Thank you.
Jackson, can you get the door?
Alright, so for tangent, it's positive, positive, negative, negative. That's the tangent one.
Whoa. Why?
Alright,
What?
even though cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, it's still based on the hypotenuse and opposite. So it's still based on the y value, basically, the opposite,
Oh,
like the y
that's-
value. So it doesn't matter that they're reciprocals. Wherever sine is positive, cosecant is positive. Or wherever sine is negative, cosecant is negative. Same thing with all these. If cosecant is positive, secant would be positive. If tangent is positive, cotangent would be positive. So as far as positive and negative go, they all match. These all match. Okay?
Yes, sir.
As Mr. Scott would say, it's lit.
Who's Mr. Scott?
He invented the Trig method.
He's a Fortnite.
Okay, so actually we
Actually,
we are gonna need a calculator trick on number one. So you guys ready?
Didn't the real world copy him?
yeah.
What page?
Like off hold.
Page 285.
The people
We're just
song
doing
decided
1
to have
through
one.
8.
Yeah. They asked the Fortnite guys to bestow him upon us. Brady, do you want to get not
I
alive?
hate how there's A, B, C's, and
You're
D's.
gonna get put to not living.
Kind of.
Put to
Yeah.
not living.
Makes you feel like you're not doing,
Brady will be
Much.
alive.
To your life.
even though it's like 4 problems in each.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like 24. That would be the
So,
actual thing.
you guys ready?
24.
No.
Cancel life.
What if you could just kill people?
You're gonna.
number 1 says find the value of each expression to 4 significant digits. What should we probably do first?
Yeah.
Get an answer book.
We should probably check our
Plug in.
calculator and make sure it's in degrees.
How are we already in 208?
We skipped some chapters.
Oh.
1, 2, 6 of you.
-5.7.
Okay, it says 4 significant digits. That means you round it to the 4th digit, which would be -5.671.
Wow.
Not the 4th decimal place, the 4th digit.
It needs to be degrees.
Can you say that again?
Yeah, just plug it in your calculator, change it to 100. It's -5.671.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
Oh no,
God.
no, no.
B is cotangent.
Oh, I know this one.
So how can we plug that in our calculator?
1 over
1 over tangent. So just in your calculator, just plug in 1 over tangent of 276.
1 over and cosine.
So negative 0.105.
Wow. Why did I get syntax error? Cause you're bad.
Did you close your parentheses?
That was a long time.
So is it negative point
Still works.
1051?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Alright. Here comes the trick question. What was cosecant the opposite of?
Sine.
Sine.
Yeah.
So you need to plug in 1. Oh, there's another trick on C. What else is it?
It's negative.
It says 5, which means what?
Radians.
Radians, because they don't put a little degree symbol. So you have to switch to radians.
So-
You have to
Radians.
check if that's negative.
How do you do the cosecant thing again?
No, the calculator is going to tell us whether it's negative or not.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How do you do like cosecant again?
1 over.
Cosecant is 1 over sine.
1 over sine.
So it's negative 1.0.
1 over sine 5.
Well, the
Is it
2
Well, it's also
negative
just 180.
1.0?
The two
Negative
round
1
three
point.
up.
What is it?
Negative
Go to
1
the-
point, what?
0.42.
0.43, right?
Wait, why is this not working?
Did you change it to radians? Did you-
Well, I just did
Is your
sine
calculator in
180.
radians?
What?
Were you were gone.
That was
Were you
your
gone
last-
last 2 days?
Yeah.
What do second mean?
So-
Or sec?
It means cosine.
Ah.
Your
So 1
calculator
over
is
sine.
0.
1 over
Your
cosine.
calculator is
Oh,
minus.
wow.
C is in radians because they
1
don't
over
have
sine.
symbol.
Wait, what'd you get for?
1 over
What'd
cosine.
you get for B? Oh.
I said it like 3 times.
Quick.
I get confused. Okay, so 1 over tangent. What'd you get on B? You got
Negative 2.014.
Oh, okay.
Okay, on D, secant is the opposite of cosine. So you need to do 1 over cosine 2.14.
In radians, right?
Still in radians.
Wait, I thought it was 1 over sine.
No,
I swear to goodness.
cosecant is 1 over sine.
Brady, you should write down
So
what you
what's
had on the
almost
board
again?
because that helps.
Negative 8.
Brady, did you write all that down?
1.855. No.
You probably forget if you don't take a note.
You think I forget?
Sorry.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Alright, hold on.
Imagine.
You know what, Rachel? I don't need this from you right now.
I don't care.
Rachel, are you being a sassy frass?
It's Brady, it's kind of written in your book on page 282, the
I'm
blue
writing it
stuff.
down. Can you move it a little bit? Thanks.
Kicking my head. No, it's
don't get it. I don't get it.
No, because
How
you're
do
an
you-
idiot.
I don't get it. No, I'm not talking to you. You're a moron. How do you do
Oh.
At least I'm understanding it.
this? How do you do this?
Boomer.
You know what? Every time you're not here, I do really well.
This
You
is
sap
true.
off my intelligence. How do you do this?
Secant
Yeah. How do you see?
is the reciprocal of cosine, so you do 1 over cosine.
Okay. So
What's a gradient?
A gradient?
Yeah.
cosine.
A gradient.
You mean a radiant or radian?
No, it's like gradient, but it's
Are you
like
still talking?
spelled
Because I stopped
gradient,
listening.
G-R-A-D-I.
I don't know.
I just want you to know.
Mr. Jordan,
I just want you to know.
who's your favorite mathematician?
I don't think I have one.
There's
Not Billy Green.
It is Billy Graham.
Two. Okay, so two.
Okay, on number 3, we're supposed to do the reference angle thing. So we're not solving 3, so hopefully you didn't plug it in your calculator. So 3 is not really, it's kind of a review question because it says sine. So, do you guys remember how we find the reference angle for 195 degrees?
You take it, it should just go right there.
What quadrant would 195 be in?
Third.
30, it's a little bit past 180, right?
Yeah.
So, how far past 180 is it? 15. So the reference angle, basically how far is it from 180, is 15 degrees. Is sine positive or negative in the
Negative.
third quadrant?
Negative.
So it's negative sine of 15.
Can't you do that on your calculator?
You can do 195 minus 180 on the calculator, but no, Brady, you can't.
You can't do negative sine of 15?
You can, but we're not.
Oh, that's right.
This is
Isn't it
the
190?
this is the answer right here.
Wait, so we're just doing the whole.
What about like secant?
We're doing reference angles. It's the same thing except for
This kid's
you just secant is the
Oh, this is what we
reciprocal.
did Thursday.
Secant is the reciprocal of cosine, so we're just going to use is cosine positive or negative in that quadrant, basically.
Well, like
because it's
flip
hot.
them. So since it's like the opposite, if it be.
Oh no, we're not actually going to solve it, so we're just going to leave it secant of this many
It's
degrees.
positive, right?
Okay, on B, 280. What
10
quadrant is 280 in?
Four.
The last one.
Fourth one. It's just past 270 right there. So what's
That's
its
270.
this 270? What's the reference angle right here?
80.
80. So secant is the reciprocal for cosine. Is cosine positive or negative right here?
Positive.
Positive. So it's going to be positive secant. Oh, fail. Secant of 80 degrees. Of the B.
And you got the 80 degrees going back to.
Because 280, which is what this angle was, if it's in the fourth or first quadrant, it's how far is it from 360? Or how far is it from 0? If it's in the second or third quadrant, it's how far is it from 180?
Okay, how'd you get the secant to do that? Like,
Okay, we did the exact same thing as we would on any other sine, cosine thing. Secant, because it's the reciprocal of sine, it's going to be positive the same place sine is positive. Doesn't matter if you flip it upside down. Sorry, we're doing cosine. Since cosine is positive in the fourth quadrant, secant is positive in the fourth quadrant. So the answer is positive secant of 80 degrees. We didn't do anything new, almost completely nothing new, except for we said secant is the reciprocal of cosine. Cosine is positive, so secant is positive in the fourth quadrant. I forgot what the 80 was.
That's kind of cool.
Is it?
The other one is like 90, right? Like the top.
90 is the top, yeah. Alright, tangent of negative 140. What quadrant is
Third.
negative 140 in? Yeah, it's over here somewhere.
so it's.
How far short of 180 is 140?
Negative 40.
40, just 40. Okay,
No, what?
so it's tangent of 40. Is tangent positive or negative
Positive.
in the
Positive.
third quadrant? Yeah, positive.
So it's cot. Or is it?
No, it's tangent. They gave us tangent. If they would have given us cotangent, it'd be the exact same thing. We just put cotangent right there.
Wait, this is.
That
sweet, right?
makes sense.
Whoops,
I get it.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Like, can I can- Oh, wait. Come on, Dave. So Radians. Is that what
Okay, secant of 2. So if it just says 2, what are we talking about? Radians. Okay. They were nicer. This is, usually they've done degrees with us. This is pi radians, or in other words, it's 3.14 radians. This is pi over 2 radians, or in other words, 1.57.
So this is the first one.
So,
Oh wait, no, it's
where's 2 going to be
not.
at?
Second quadrant.
Right there. Yeah, past 1 point, between 1.5 and 3.1. So, somewhere in there.
Cosine is negative.
Cosine is negative in that quadrant. Alright, but what's the reference angle?
What, isn't 2 pi a full circle?
It's not 2 pi though,
Wouldn't it just be
it's just 2.
3.5 minus 2?
If it's at 2 pi, yeah, that'd be back here.
Or 3.5?
But if it's just 2,
2 minus 5.
yeah,
It's 1.14.
yeah, pi minus 2, that gives us the reference angle.
So it's negative cosine 1.14.
Yes.
Good job.
Wait, would you put negative cosine or negative secant?
Oh, sorry, what was the secant? I forgot. I just heard you say cosine.
Sorry.
Yeah, my bad.
That's my bad.
That was Josh that said it.
Sorry about that, Josh.
Well, I was thinking.
He was
You know what,
thinking.
Josh? I appreciate you trying to help further our education, unlike some people who only wish to tear you down when you get something wrong and don't say anything at all.
Talking about right? Who are you talking about?
Me.
Oh.
I'm
She's
just the
being-
negative.
She was being mean with you.
Negative.
Negative Nancy.
And I'm really mean and hateful and I deserve to sit in court.
Okay, on.
Just continues talking. Take me, girl.
Number
Say
5.
something. Oh wait, nobody asked.
Hey, it said tangent of 820. So how do I back 820 up to get it to? Shh. What do I do with 820?
You subtract 720.
You subtract 360, subtract 360 again, which is like subtracting
And you
720.
get 100.
You get 100. Where is
get-
100 degrees at?
The second quadrant.
Right? Yeah, right there. So,
Or in other words,
is tangent positive or negative right there?
It's negative.
So it's going to be negative tangent.
Of 100?
Okay, now
Of 80.
100 is the angle.
Oh,
What's the
80.
reference angle though? 80. It's 80 short of 100.
80 degrees.
Yeah, we went back to degrees again. Have mercy on us. Alright. B is secant. Secant is the reciprocal of
Cosine.
cosine. Where is 290 at?
Fourth quadrant.
Yeah, there's 270 right there, some spot right there. 290, okay,
positive.
cosine is positive, so secant is positive, so I'm just gonna put it as SEC. 290 is how far short of 360?
70.
I like this chapter.
Do? Cotangent.
That's the thing of tangent.
That's the tangent one. What quadrant is 185 in?
The third.
Third, so
Third.
it's going to be positive.
So it's positive cotangent.
And it's going to be 5?
Yeah.
Yes.
185 is 5 degrees off of 180.
Good job, Josh.
Yay! See what happens when you apply yourself?
Who are you preaching to?
Bethany.
Okay, D, cosecant, just says 4 again, so we're going back to radians. Where is 4 radians at?
Just past the 180 pi mark right there.
Yeah, this is 3.14, so 4 is going to be right somewhere in there.
Since it's sine, it's negative, right?
Yeah, cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, so it's going to be negative. Negative cosecant.
What number is this?
5D.
So sine.
Okay.
It'd be 0.86, right?
Yeah, how far is 4 off of 3.14? It's 0.86. 4 minus 3.14. Here's the
1.1?
here's the visual.
No, just
4 minus 3.14 is 0.86.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the reference angle right
What is 270
there.
in
7. This is it's your guys' favorite problems. Huh?
radians? What's 270 in radians?
3 pi over 2. It's like a pi and a half. 3 halves pi. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
7. Give the values. You guys remember these problems from the other day?
No.
Where is cosecant? Undefined. Okay. So cosecant, maybe back to the original table, is where did I put that? hypotenuse over opposite. Opposite is kind of like the y value. And if the y value is 0, you can't, dividing by 0 makes it illegal. It's nonsense. So where on the unit circle does y equal 0?
90 or 270? Wait, no.
Okay,
Yes.
0 or 180?
right here, for example, it's like right here, unit circle. This point is at 1, 0, right? So this, the y value is 0 right here. It's also 0 right here. This is negative 1, 0. So at those 2 points, 0, 180, or 0, pi, it's not going to work to be undefined. But you can keep going. Every 180 or every pi radians, it's going to hit another 0 in the denominator, in the y value. So it's not going to work. It's going to be undefined every pi, or in other words, every n pi. N times pi, like 1 times pi, 2 times pi, 3 pi, 4 pi, it's all going to screw up. Where did I put one pi? Picture. So, n pi. It's a mess, isn't it? Alright, on B, where is cosecant equal to 0 at?
Wait, A is n pi?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know. Like, I'm confused my whole life.
Well, maybe if you apply to
Josh,
Oh, wait.
I'm just stupid.
That's what my mom
No,
said.
this is hard. This is hard stuff.
your mom says
So, okay,
No.
how do we make cosecant 0? What would have to
if the
happen?
hypotenuse is 0.
Hypotenuse would be 0. But the hypotenuse can't be 0. It's basically it's the radius. It's impossible for the hypotenuse to be 0. So there is no
No.
answer to B. It's none.
I don't
That was a
Yeah.
dumb question.
I might help you guys with A.
Oh, that'd be a great idea.
I'm gonna be proud of myself this week.
That will save pain for all of us, I think.
No,
Okay.
that'll save you from going around the room and explaining it to us.
I know, that's why I said all of this stuff includes me.
What was A?
Specifically, one person was trying to
Specifically.
Alright, for C, we need it to be 1. Where would it be 1? So basically,
0.
the hypotenuse is like the radius, it's always 1. So where y is 1, this would be like 1 over 1. Where is y 1 at? Right there. So, no,
90.
90.
9.
But also, you can keep going around and it keeps hitting that. So,
And 90.
Pi over 2.
pi over 2 plus
Yes. And pi.
2 and pi.
What the heck?
What? Pi over 2 plus n pi?
Yeah,
Equal.
pi over 2
Oh,
is
that's
basically,
90.
pi over 2 is basically 90.
And
But
then
why
n
can't we
pi
just
is-
put
or
90
pi is
then?
180.
Because if you keep adding 360, it's gonna keep working. So 2 pi is worth 360. They put the n in there because you could go infinite number of times. If you keep adding 360, add 360, add 360.
Would it just be 3? Couldn't you
What
add
do we put
180?
together?
No, because the bottom is negative 1,
Oh.
so it would be negative 1 on the bottom.
Can we do A together?
Yes, I already said I'd do that. I don't think I'm gonna. Okay, well, Josh, D is what you're just talking about.
It's just
Where is y negative 1 at?
3 has
270.
pi.
At 270 or 3 pi over 2. So 3 pi over 2 is the first part. Guess what the second part is?
Plus 2 and pi.
2 and pi. Can you guys read that? I bet the video doesn't show it. We're just gonna have to rewind it.
Is it
It's like
multiplied by
reading it
2
over.
in pi, or is it plus 2 in pi?
3 pi over 2
Plus 2 in pi?
plus 2 and pi.
Plus 2 and
Ew,
They just move it
Rachel.
What the heck?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call you out like that.
Thanks.
Alright. Number 8. Given the values of x in radians for which cotangent is undefined. So kind of the same thing we're just doing with cotangent. When is it undefined? It's undefined when the denominator is 0. When the opposite side is 0, in other words, when the y value is 0.
Oh, it's
So-
the same as cosine.
Yeah.
So
The opposite's on the bottom for both of these, so it would be the same answer as cosecant was.
And
Wasn't that?
n pi.
Yeah. I was gonna say, wasn't that B, but no, it was
How much ET right now? No,
A. Okay, B.
it's pretty good. It's called classic.
So, I wish I would've. So on B, we want the whole thing to equal 0, so what has to equal 0? The
G's.
adjacent. The adjacent, I want to draw a picture and explain all this, is basically the x value. Where is the x value 0?
At 0.
No.
Dang.
Right here, it's at 1, 0.
It's never at 0.
Yeah, I was about to say,
No,
can't
it is.
Zero?
Oh,
Right here,
Oh,
it's
right.
0, 1, and down here it's
0, -1.
0, -1. So it works at 90 plus 180 plus 180 plus 180 plus 180. So how do I write that in radians?
1/2 pi plus half pi
Close.
Infinity.
You were close.
Is it not?
plus pi is
Oh, it's
Okay.
3 halves.
Pi over 2. How do we write 180 in radians though?
pi.
Pi. So in
Why
pi.
are they 2
Because every 180, the x value goes back to 0. Not 360.
Will this be on the test?
No, I won't put that on the test. C. 1. So when x is equal to 1, it's going to equal 1. Where's
0?
Oh, wait. Hold on, I lied. Let me back up. I was thinking of Cosecant again. So where does this equal 1? When x and y are the same. Whew, it's tricky. Where are the x value and the y value going to be the same?
Oh, at 1, 1.
Well,
Isn't it a line?
you're on the right idea, but that's not quite right. Right in the middle there, x and y are going to have the same value.
45.
It's not really 1, 1 though. You guys, because it's equally going left, or going right and going up right there. Yeah, it's at 45 degrees. You guys know what 45 degrees is in radians?
Yes. 1/4 right. Tell me I'm right.
Yeah.
Yay!
It's pi over 4, 1/4 pi, 0.25 pi.
Was
Okay,
And it's gonna be
Plus
plus
one.
kind of forgot what we're going for. We're going for where is it equal to 1. It also will be equal to 1 down here because it's like negative, what would that be? I don't know. Negative square root of 2 over 2, negative square root of 2 over 2, that equals 1. Anyways, so it's going to work every 180 degrees after pi over 4. Pi over 4 plus 180 plus 180. So it's pi over 4 plus n pi.
That's C.
Yes.
And then for D it would be 3/4.
I haven't read D yet.
Yay!
wait.
D says
Yeah.
-1. So it's going to be -1 here and here, kind of the opposites. Because this is like negative square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2. It's, anyway, one's negative, one's positive, so that makes it negative. Yeah, if this is pi, then this is, and this is half a pi, then this is 3/4 of pi. And then it's going to work 180, 180, 180. So it's 3/4 pi, or 3 pi over 4 plus n pi. What a mess.
That was lit.
Okay, so you guys are responsible for 2, 4, and 6.
That's a lot.
Can that be two?
Which
Tomorrow.
is 12 problems.
Tomorrow, yes, it is 12 problems.
I can do that.
Daddy.